Yeah. With a message for my people. Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah. Now this the black sheep, sticking it to him. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it
in hand, just understand
My pocket's that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose.
Little fist.
There it
Starts
is.
the show, baby.
I could tell Isaiah was like, he's like, did they forget? Because we weren't looking at each other.
Yeah. Isaiah's good with that,
He
bro.
is. He is. Good
Brian,
catch.
on the other hand, all right, I'll stop now. Welcome back to Veterans Minimum, everybody. The #1 sports betting vibe on the planet. I'm your host, Nick Deus. At Nick Deus 10, you can find me. All things Veterans Minimum is where you can find Veterans Minimum. To my left, my dog with the beard.
Yeah.
Not
Trimmed it up.
looking Miami Vice South Beach today. You usually got the chest hair out. You got a little
Yeah. I went
pass
to
as a
Goodwill.
Narcos extra.
Yeah, I went to Goodwill today before the show, and I found a BMW shirt.
Okay.
You know how rare that is? That's a $3 cup. You buy this at BMW, it's $150.
Oh yeah.
So I
You're
was
talking
like,
to someone that only shops at the outlets.
you're a man of fashion.
Discounts only.
That's 100% the way I was thinking today.
You got it.
Let's save up for all the bets that we're about to place.
We're about to place a lot of bets, and we do have a special guest today. Someone that I've been talking to on social media for a while now, one of the sharp minds when it comes to UFC betting. I will say, and I didn't tell you this because I was waiting to tell you on the show, I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to betting. I don't really listen to anybody when it comes to it. Like, all my picks, all my analysis are like my own opinions. However, I've said this to Dave Ross from VETMIN. I know you know Dave also. Mm-hmm. When you guys are on a side and you guys have like conviction, I might not fade my opinion if I'm on the other fighter, but I might lessen my unit count. And that, I think, is what I do when I follow your bets. And in the building, we got Zayd Hussein, my dog. Welcome. How was that for an intro?
Thank you for having me on. And it's funny you say that because I'm kind of the same way. Like, where there's probably about 4 to 5 people on the planet where it's like, okay, if this guy's on the other side that I don't like, all right, maybe I got to look deeper into this fight and see what am I missing, you know? And there's so many times where it's like, okay, I've been saved from making that big bet and, you know, it didn't turn out the way I expect. But, I mean, overall, it's just like talking to those sharp minds in the industry, seeing what everybody's on and collaborating with other people, something you have to do if you want to make some money.
Nah, absolutely, man. And one thing I wanted to ask you before we started going, again, I did preface that I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to this stuff.
You definitely are.
Yeah. I feel like I know betting fairly well. I know UFC fairly well too. My question to you is, do you ever, with MMA betting, at least for me, right? If I get those like analytic charts that say 69%, I use the right number, right? 69%. I'm immature despite being 33. If 69% of the people in the tickets are on a fighter, but I like a fighter anyway. In MMA, it doesn't swing me. 85% of the tickets are on, this is the public dog. It don't sway me if I think that fighter's going to win. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, it doesn't swing me. And people don't realize when like Bleacher Report or like all those apps that are posting out 75% of the public's on this or 80% of the public's on that, it's not accurate. Not accurate by any means. Like when they say, oh, sharp money's on this or sharp money, like they're just making stuff up, to be honest with you. That's what I truly believe because I see it. I see it when I look at the lines, I look at the charts, like I know which side sharp money's taking.
Right.
So it's like when they post stuff like that, it's just funny to me. I mean, I don't know. I never look into that, especially for MMA. It's a fight. Like, I don't care who you're betting on, I'm betting on who I think is going to win, and that's it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, bro. I've been so adamant about that, George, all these years. I know the amount of times that we've brought this subject up. It's only with MMA, though.
Yeah.
You know, in the NFL, if it's 90% of the people are on the Cowboys as a 4-point favorite, I'm like, I'm probably not going to take them.
Right.
But when it comes to fighting, bro, and I think to your point, it's fighting. It's one-on-one. It's not a team sport. It's also not as popular as NFL or NBA playoffs. So I don't know, man. It's just always been a fascinating conversation. I like asking people like you.
Yeah, and something I think about that too. I always feel like the public is going to parlay like the 4 biggest favorites. Like they're going
Always.
to take a -400, a -500, and they don't realize one of those guys are going to lose. Like I mean, favorites have been winning more like recently they've been winning a lot. Don't get me wrong, but on those pay-per-view cards, there's always that one guy that just kills your parlay, and people don't realize that, and they continue to put those parlays in with like 4 or 5 like huge favorites, and someone ends up losing.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
when you're -500 in a fight compared to -500 in an NBA game or an NFL game, like it's completely different to me. Like it's one punch you could get sparked.
and it's what they do in all those little pre-made parlays, the cheese on the rat trap for people like my fiance who are like, I just don't understand why I can't win any of these. It's like, yeah, because there's bullshit in here. And yeah, no, I agree with you guys. And I would ask you this, because I know you come from a wrestling background. Doesn't it make you feel confident, like knowing what that fighter's gone through? Because a lot of people have never rolled around or done anything. So that edge, do you use a lot of like what you used to do to, match up and see what you're going to play?
Yeah, I think like grappling wise, you could see, especially like if you're someone that's wrestled or someone that's rolled around, who's a capable grappler, a high level grappler compared to someone who's not really that high level of a grappler. I think, especially when you look at wrestling, I mean, look at all the champions that are dominating. Look at all the Russian guys that are dominating, all wrestlers. Like wrestling is obviously the main base of MMA, and it's the most important thing of MMA. I mean, you could be the best. We had the kickboxer. I forgot his name. He just fought someone as a pretty big favorite and just got out wrestled. Despage, I believe his name is.
The Cuban dude.
Yeah. I forgot his full name.
Champagne or something like that.
Yeah. He got out wrestled, like he was a kickboxing champion or Muay Thai or something like that, and came in and he got smoked. Like if you could wrestle and take a fight to the ground, it just changes everything.
Yeah. No, it's for sure. So, Nick.
I want to just push back real quick.
Yeah.
I myself am a 2-stripe blue belt stud. I do think that, if I could pat myself on the back, Zayd, you're gonna be getting a lot of those cues. Like no one likes to pat themselves on the back more than I do. I think the most important asset in MMA is cardio. I feel like if I was building out a perfect fighter, and I could have A+ as
attribute.
There you go. Like when you're building your fighter on the UFC video game, I'd make cardio 10 out of 10. Because the amount of fights that path to victory I always talk about, right? Like my favorite fighter, one of my favorite fighters of all time to bet on, Sergio Moraes. Path to victory was amazing. He's going to win in round 1 or he's going to get finished in round 2, 3, and if it was a championship fight later on.
Terrence McKinney, same thing.
Terrence McKinney, the same. Yeah. Like the running joke is if the UFC was 1 3-minute round, he'd be the greatest to ever do it. And I think that if I could build out a perfect fighter, wrestling's important. Yeah, striking is important, especially if you're like A++, like a Habib in wrestling or a Pereira in striking. Man, for me, if I could have cardio and I know that I'm just gonna going into round 4, I don't need my stool and I don't need my corner to ice me down. Just the defeat in your eyes when you're just over there like, can I use a defibrillator or a fucking inhaler or some shit? Like to me, that would be. And I know that some people have it, some people don't. And even if you do work to it, it's kind of like speed. Like you can't teach speed. I feel like some people just have an amazing gas tank. I feel like cardio would be mine.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think most wrestlers have great cardio. And I mean, that's the sport where if you're doing a boxing or you're doing kickboxing or even rolling around in jiu-jitsu, I think if you go to a wrestling room for 2 hours, the workout that you're going to have in that wrestling room compared to the workout you're going to have boxing or kickboxing is a completely different workout. Like you think you'd be in shape, but then there's shape and then there's wrestling shape. That's what I like to say and a lot of people say. So I think it's a big difference there.
Damn, he's 100% correct. You guys are both correct. But god damn it, if you're a knockout artist, dude, striking's the most important. Because you could put somebody's lights out round 1, dude. Mike Tyson method the UFC.
I mean, say that to Conor McGregor with the Khabib fight. I mean, he was knocking everybody out. And then just like, if you're worried about that takedown, and then the best people I see, like when they mix their wrestling in, is their feints. They're punching, they're feinting for the takedown. People have to drop their hands. We saw it with Khabib. McGregor dropping his hands to down block for the takedown, and boom, the overhand right hits. And you've seen so many wrestlers do it. Daniel Cormier was a specialist at it. The feints for the takedowns, it opens everything up inside the cage.
That is true.
I wanted to get into more of your personal story, which I promise we're going to get to that too, especially when I have someone on for the first time. I want the audience to be familiar with them. But you mentioned Conor McGregor, and I don't know if it's the elephant in the room, but it's definitely something that the whole card was built around, right? I was someone that my friend Chris and we bought tickets for this, and we paid fucking 2 arms and a leg for the cause. And luckily we got refunded. Shout out to the UFC, man. I didn't know this at the time, and I don't know if you guys knew this. You might have, because you're born and raised in Vegas. Vegas, the promotion is obligated to refund you if the main event is scratched. Some other places, it's like, hey, man, you're asked out. It's kind of the risk you take. So shout out to the commissions, and shout out to Nevada State Commission, I should say, that had that, because, the commissions do get a lot of heat sometimes. We got to praise them for the good. With all that being said, Zayd, do you think we see Conor McGregor fight again? Because the more I think about it, bro, I'm leaning towards no. I was someone that was saying when he broke his leg against Poirier, I remember being in Atlantic City. It was for a buddy of mine's bachelor party, and I was watching it. And the sports book was fucking packed, dude. I had never seen it like that for a UFC. Obviously, we know Conor, but that was the first time I was like, damn, this motherfucker really is a global megastar, right?
Yeah.
And everyone was saying, is he done? Is he done? And my take, and I still believe this, I think we have one more Conor fight where we really give a shit about. Like, yo, it's Conor week, bro. Like, what the Conor's coming. But then he got to win, right? Because then the aura starts to go away. Like, he fought Floyd Mayweather August of 2017. Since December of 2015, he's 3-4 in the UFC. He has 1 win since 2016. It was against Cowboy Cerrone. He's 36. It sucks that, like, he got hurt 2.5 weeks before he was going to come back. But now he got to recover fully before Dana even entertains it. Because Dana's like, bro, I'm not doing it. Until you're 100%, we're not fantasizing. We're not fantasy booking. None of that shit. We need you to be healthy. I don't think he fights again. And that's just my take. I hope I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. How do you feel about it?
I think him fighting again is probably like -500. I truly believe that. Like, like, Dana's not the type of guy to like stroke like the public. Like Conor, and I feel the same way about, to be honest with you, Conor, as far as like fighting. Like, he's not going to be in camp. He's not going to be doing all this. He wouldn't be posting a picture of his broken toe if he was like, okay, if he didn't want to fight, he would just be like, okay, I'm on a yacht partying and posting things. But like, he was posting stuff, parts of him sparring, training. I don't think he's training as much as a Michael Chandler, but I think he's not just going to stop fighting. He knows that this is like, okay, if Conor McGregor stopped right now and didn't fight again, do we really care about McGregor 3-4 years from now? He wants to be a guy that's, in the light, shining. Oh, look, Conor McGregor fight week. Like you said, the build up. He wants his name to be in the media and everything to be going on. So for me, I think he fights probably by September, October. I think heals up, gets into training camp, fights again. And I think this is a fight where if Michael Chandler, the problem with Michael Chandler is he just doesn't fight smart. But if he decides, hey, you know what, I'm going to wrestle this guy and take him down, Michael Chandler can make this look very, very easy. If you told me before the fight Michael Chandler is shooting a takedown and not going to sit there and brawl with him, I'd make Michael Chandler -250 without a doubt in my mind, minimum.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. He just doesn't do that.
He's there to put on a show.
For sure.
And I respect it because, he's so entertaining. But it's like, bro, he could have beat Poirier, I think, if he fought a lot smarter. I think he could have beat a lot of fighters that he lost to if he decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to use my wrestling, which is great. He's a very explosive fighter. So I think if he fights the way he's supposed to fight, he makes this look easy.
Yeah, to what you said about him fighting in September, I'm looking at the UFC schedule right now, right? Obviously, we got 5 weeks, so that's out the window. Duh. July 27th, it's Edwards and Muhammad. That's in Manchester. Then it's a Perth card in August. Then it's the Sphere in September. Then it's Abu Dhabi for UFC 308 in October. I don't think they put him in Abu Dhabi.
What if they just make a whole new pay-per-view for him?
That was what I was going to get to, because then November, it's not official, but it's kind of like, that's going to be John Jones at MSG.
Yeah.
MSG in November is like a staple. It's kind of like their one location. And December, probably a Vegas card. There's been a lot of Vegas cards in December to close out the year. So do you do a pay-per-view and just like don't have it numbered and you just call it Conor?
Oh my God, that'd be crazy.
Mean, can't you technically just move the numbers around and just like add that extra thing and then, okay, so it's throw them into whatever it is, UFC, because 306 is a sphere? Is it, or 304?
Yeah, 306
Yeah.
is the sphere. But they're building that around like Mexican, a lot of Mexican fighters and like the culture of it.
And I've been hearing that's going to be like O'Malley Marab, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I wish it was Taporia versus Holloway.
I know.
I think that's the biggest fight of the year. Like, that's the fight I'd be most excited for. But for McGregor, I think they have to. I mean, you're not going to have him sit out till the end of November. I just don't see it happening. I think he's expressed how much he's wanted to fight. So it's like, I think they just put a card together for him and throw it out there. And you don't have to make it a good card. I mean, put Conor McGregor and put a bunch of Apex fights. And you're good to go.
It's basically what 300. Well,
yeah,
this card was.
Yeah, but Diego Lopez was a great ad. Him and Ortega, huge ad.
So that's the thing, right? As we segue into the pay-per-view this week, UFC 303. The card is better, I think. But the issue that I had, and what I was telling my buddy Chris George, was it ain't worth the Conor tax you had to pay to fucking get into the building.
Right.
Luckily, we got refunded, like I mentioned. But top to bottom, I think this card is better than that because, to Zayd's point, the way UFC would do Conor cards, it's like how every single boxing card is. It's like you got the main event, it's Floyd and Pacquiao, and then it's a bunch of jobbers.
Yep.
No disrespect, I'm not the biggest boxing guy, but like people that watch boxing are like, no one is in the arena until maybe halfway through co-main.
And maybe you throw in that one prospect that's like an up-and-coming guy where you give him a guy to like just absolutely shine on and have a good night. I mean, like they did it with, I think, with Ian Gary, like putting him in this spot. It's supposed to be Ian Gary, McGregor kind of together. I think Ian Gary was like the co-main at one point.
Think so, yeah.
Yeah, so now I look at it like you said, it's going to be McGregor and I think just a bunch of Apex fights type, which I think, to be honest with you, any fight, UFC fight, like, I mean, I know there's bad fights, but man, every single fight, especially because like we're betting on them. So like I'm into every single fight. Like I don't care who's fighting. Like I'm watching film, I'm breaking it down and I'm making bets.
Hey man, I kind of live my life this way, under promise, over deliver. When I go into events and I'm like, fucking, this card is in Salt Lake, bro. This shit is whack. And then I watch and there's like 9 finishes and 13 fights. And then it's always, it's like, oh shit, I just won $3,000 on this like, card too. Like, what the hell? So sometimes when you go into things, under promise, over deliver, man.
Yeah, no, Dana. So here was my somewhat theory behind this, because to make fighters do crazy things and move it around the way they did, coming fresh off of him being in Saudi Arabia, I don't know. I'm just saying the wallet is probably feeling pretty good for Daddy Dana right now, and those bonuses are going to be crazy. So I'm glad they're able to whip something up, and I can't imagine that these fighters aren't doing it without a bag. Because I mean, like I'm seeing a lot of opportunities here given on short notice, and it's like, dude, this is like, these are people's careers. You know, if he was a boxer, I mean, his ass isn't fighting till next year. But these guys are, you know, without even having money in their thought process. You know, shout out to Dana being the man that he is behind the scenes. But yeah, this card's going to be insane.
Yeah, and Alex Pereira, like, taking all these fights on short notice, like, I mean, he's stepping up to the plate every single time. They give him, I mean, the last couple of fights, he had like a month to prepare, another month before. Like, he's stepping in every single time. And he's entertaining. He's one of those guys where I think is like an underrated, just superstar. Like, I think if he continues to win, like he wins again on Saturday, I think it's like he's right up there with the best of the best superstars as far as selling too.
No, I mean, you brought up a great point, and that was something I was going to mention as we started to talk about this main event. When you're a fighter and you take a fight on short notice in this scenario, right? This guy also had like broken toes.
Yeah.
He was on tour in Australia, and then they called him and he filled in. And to Zayd's point, he's done this a bunch, right? He saved 300. And when he goes out there and you have the backstory of, I don't like to say excuses if he loses, but reasons, bro. You have broken toes. Dude, I jammed my pinky toe going to fucking cater to my dog one night, and I slammed that shit on like the baby gate I have. I couldn't do jiu-jitsu for 3 days. I'm also I'm also,
GGs.
you know, I'm also not tough. I'm fake tough, but like I could barely fucking walk, dude. And this guy got broken toes going to fight, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's crazy. But what I think happens is his superstar raises, because now you're like, yo, this guy fucking, he's on tour in Australia. It was like the Volkanovski thing, right? When Volk takes the short notice fight and performs well, he's a legend for that. But then when he gets knocked out, it's like, damn, why'd you take that fight, bro? You were just so it's like a gift and a curse. You become the man if you do win, but then you're an idiot if you do lose because you weren't fully prepared. So it's always a interesting sort of armchair quarterback Sunday.
Yeah.
I think
No, the money's got to make sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, not just the money. Like, look, if I'm a contender and I get offered like a huge spot to, I mean, like, look at Bilal Muhammad. Okay, he got offered that short notice fight against Gilbert Burns. It was a #1 contender fight. He goes out there, he wins a dominant decision, and now he's fighting for the title. If you're a guy that's a contender, look at Ikram Al-Skaraf. It's a very tough fight he took with Robert Whittaker. But why did he take that fight? Because is anyone in the top 10 going to fight him? Everybody's probably going to dodge him. So he's like, you know what? I could go out there. If I beat a guy like Robert Whittaker, I'm #3 in the world now. I'm right there for a title shot. So if you're in that type of situation, I'm 100% jumping for it. But if you're a guy like a Volkanovski or even, you know, Alex Pereira, who's been dominant, I wouldn't put myself in those positions, because if you lose, you're like, damn, I shouldn't have took that fight on short notice, like you said. But when you're a guy coming up, you really got nothing to lose because you're trying to jump levels.
Nah, yeah, man. I mean, if you look at O'Malley now, like O'Malley was getting a lot of shit for fighting sort of journeyman. Then all of a sudden he's fighting Jan. He's like, yeah, I'll take the fight with Jan. And I don't think that was short notice, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a full camp that he had. But he's like, man, this is a #1 guy in the world. If I beat him, then I'm going to hold out. And I think O'Malley was like 11th or 12th in the world at that time. And then, bam, before you know, he's fighting for a title. So, yeah, if it got to make sense. The money got to make sense, and also the opportunity. So, with this main event, right? Pereira -160 consensus. I'm just using broad numbers here. And then Yuri at +140. I don't agree. I kind of like Yuri in this fight. I think Yuri, he won the first round against Pereira, and then he got caught. Questionable. I know there was a lot of heat on whether or enough it was. Yeah, right? You thought it sucked?
Yes.
I thought it was. I think there's been worse.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
there's definitely been worse.
I feel like that's like it's a judgment call there. It's the human element of the referee. Like, I get it. I don't think it was as egregious as some others. Like, bro, when Bobby Green got flatlined by Jalen Turner, it's like, ref, what are you doing? Sometimes it works in the other way where the referee
100%.
doesn't step in. I think Yuri and Pereira are kind of the Spider-Man meme. I think both of them, where Pereira is definitely more technical, and he has the power, but Yuri got power also, and it just comes from like random shit. Knees, spinning elbows. You just don't know. And he fights with his hands down, and he jabs from under.
Yeah.
It's harder for you to pick up on that. I feel like this should be closer to a pick 'em. Am I wrong?
I mean, I think the line's reflective right now, right? I mean, I see a lot of -135, -140 range. I agree with it. I think when you look at, I mean, bro, look at Rakic when he just fought Yuri. Like, he landed bombs on him. Like, he was landing shot after shot after shot. If that's Alex landing those, I think Yuri's out on his feet right away. Like, for me, you got to go with a guy. I mean, when you look at his left hook, it's literally the best left hook in the UFC. I mean, he's just knocked out every single person with it. Look what he did to Jamal Hill most recently. And I think if Yuri's coming forward, you mentioned the hands are down, he's throwing jabs up like that, that left hook's going to come across, catch that chin, and I think it's night-night by like round 2, honestly. I like Poatan.
That's a very fair point about the Rakic fight, because he was getting pieced up.
Bro,
It's
Rakic looked good, bro. Very, very good. I was honestly impressed, and he was coming off major surgery, I believe.
Yeah.
And he looked great in that fight. And I just think if it's Poatan hitting you with those shots, the power that he has, it's not going to end well.
Yeah, and he had it came out that he had staph.
Yeah.
He had staph after Rakic.
And have you heard about Yuri doing his like darkness retreats? And how he most recently, did one, and now he's feeling a little bit like Aaron Rodgers, and like this is his time. And so like you compared it to the Spider-Man meme, and I'm just seeing Aaron Rodgers versus the world here in Yuri.
What's a darkness retreat like meditation?
He spent 3 days in a dark room with
just water,
and he's
a weird dude.
Trained.
Yeah, that's
he is.
Like he goes right before he leaves for like the final, like once he finishes camp before he goes to the destination for the fight. Shut down. Don't bother me. I'm by myself in a room, dark.
That's crazy.
He
Some spiritual shit he's going through.
Bro, he said he needs to connect with nature, like when it comes to fights like this. But he struggles with English. So when he was doing his interview, he was like, "I like watching sunrise and sun. I just love nature." So I want to make a meme of that. I love nature. We call him the nature boy now.
Wow.
He's the UFC's nature boy.
UFC's nature boy.
He's like,
he needs some robes.
Bro, he didn't know what sunset was. He said sunrise, sun.
He's probably going to say like sundown or something.
I love nature. And I was like, bro, he's the nature boy.
Yeah.
Who loves nature more than a person who doesn't know what a sunset is?
So you got Pereira round 2?
I think so, yeah. I think it could even come earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, Yuri's going to come after him, which he does with everybody. But it's like, I just look at that Rakic fight, and to me, it was just, he was landing big, and I just don't see him being able to take Alex's shots. I think it's a tough fight for him, man. I mean, Alex could get bonked too, obviously. We know, and that's why it's reflective in the price. But I would lean the favorite 100%.
Do you think that his wild style could be against a guy like Pereira? For how
100%.
clean he is?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, when he's in a stance and he got his hands down, he's almost like Michael Venom Page, like where he's just flowing back and forth with his hands down, and then he'll throw the jab up. But it's like, you got to get your hand up protecting your chin before that left hook comes, because that's going to come fast. And he put everybody's lights out with it, every single fighter. And like even Izzy, like even when he lost to Izzy, like it was a tough fight. Like Izzy wasn't looking that good before he hit him with that knockout. But like Alex's striking, I think, is the best inside the UFC.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I think the striking is.
And Yuri's not going to shoot. Like, if you told me, like, I'd take Ankalaev over both of them. I think Ankalaev will go in there and dominate both fighters, like, with the wrestling, and he's going to fight the winner probably. But overall, like, I would make Ankalaev minus 250 easy against Pereira and Yuri.
Yeah, I think that's the guy. That's the guy that can dethrone him, I think. And it's weird because, like, if you really look at the fights that Pereira's gotten, it's been all strikers.
Yeah, and not one wrestler.
Not
and
one.
It was designed that way.
Yeah,
yeah,
of
and he
course.
just lucked out, obviously. Like, Izzy's a striker and he had the belt, and like Yuri's not a wrestler. Like, the only dominant wrestler was Ankalaev, and he didn't really. I mean, what did he lose? Like a split decision, or was it a draw with Blachowicz? Yeah. So
Yeah.
he didn't really have his chance to go back in there.
I think I'm gonna go with Yuri,
I'm
but
with you on
not confident. Like, I think for me, the one bet I would make, and that I think is really interesting, you can like group like rounds together, and you could take something like, I don't think it goes past 2, so I'm with you on that. So you could get a Pereira to win by knockout rounds 1 or 2 at plus 210, and then you could get Yuri, same bet at plus 370. That's probably the 2 bets I'll make, and just hopefully someone gets slept.
Yeah.
In the first 2 rounds, I turn a profit there. That's probably my favorite play on the main event. You can't bet fight doesn't go, because fight doesn't go is minus 800, right? So like, we're not doing that. That's kind of the approach that I would take.
Damn.
Ain't nobody shooting.
I
in
know.
this.
That
Yeah.
sets up perfectly, though, for me to put fight goes the distance.
So he loves these bets, right?
Yeah, he was
Because
telling
it's
me.
for the title, dude, and it's short.
What is it, like plus 550, plus 600?
I bet if it was minus 800 the other way.
Fight goes the distance right now is plus 385. Yeah.
385?
God.
Yeah.
It's that big of a discrepancy?
What the
Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah,
They
no,
don't-
I'm
I mean,
good
they
on that.
obviously.
No, it's usually closer though. Am I?
You're 100%
like
correct.
I thought it would be like 550.
But they don't want to lose out.
Plus 385, yes, fight goes the distance. No is minus 775. I said minus 800. I apologize.
might as
I mean,
well.
those splits are still criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's his thing. Like, he likes the last 3 fights on pay-per-views to go to distance.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the ultimate sweat. And because you get the maximum amount of fighting in a night, which, I think we all can appreciate. And the one night where Holloway wins with 1 second left, bro. Oh, I was with Jory, the audio engineer, and it crushed me.
Yeah.
I've never been more defeated in my entire life.
I know so many people that had Holloway round 5 like finish.
Right here.
which was crazy. Yeah, I mean, you did
Right
too,
here.
Nick. You were one of them. And bro, I was there, like, and just watch. I just couldn't believe it. Like, it was just insane. He was really just out. I mean, that was the sickest knockout, like one of the sickest knockouts ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when, like, I mean, I'll share a bad beat here real quick, but Ben Askren versus Masvidal.
Oh.
And this was like, I was like the biggest Ben Askren fan. And I just thought, you know, his wrestling would be enough. And we've seen Masvidal struggle with every single wrestler. And I'm telling, you know, everyone's asking me what are they. I'm telling them Ben Askren, you know? And then the knee comes and I just look. And like, I was just frozen staring at the TV for about 2 minutes. And then everyone's like around me is just laughing. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I just sat there and I just couldn't believe it. It was the sickest thing ever.
Bro, so I got two great stories. One has to do with the Ben Askren thing. We're at a bar watching the fight, and one of my buddies, Nick, we call him Boss. There's 4 of us in our friend group that are Nick D. So like everyone has nicknames, right? So we're watching the fight, and he was like, yo, Ben Askren, man, he just came over from fucking
Undefeated.
Like, yo, his wrestling is like legit. We've been waiting for this dude to come over here. So this is back when like you didn't have apps yet. You had to go like the offshore shit. So we're trying to get in contact with our bookie. He's not replying, and they're coming out into the cage. They're announcing and whatnot. And then he replies back like, "Yo, you guys still want it?" We're like, "Yeah, get it." And I think we threw like $400 each on it because he was like minus 200, minus 180.
Minus 220, 230.
Yeah, let's call it minus 200 just for the story. And we're over there and like we hit send, right? And you know, the referee like backs out. Masvidal is up on the side of the cage like that. And I go, yo, is the bet in? Don't hear nothing, right? Bro, the moment he lands the flying knee,
The guy sends bets in.
he goes, yeah, bet is in with the screenshot. And I just go, oh no.
Wow. I mean, at least he had the screenshot for
He
you,
did,
or else
he
you'd
did.
feel like you got played.
Yeah. Nah, he did. And
yeah,
and
my
he's
cousin, so I told him to put money on Askren, and he put like, I think $1,400 or $1,500. And he had a bunch of people over at his house because like we had a relative come from overseas, and he's like, you know, message me updates how the fight's going. And as soon as it happens, you know, I sat there for 2 minutes. I just texted, bro. Like that's all I said was just bro. And he puts question mark, calls me right away. He's like, what happened? I'm like, he lost. He's like, already? I'm like, yeah, it was fastest knockout in history. And now every time I see people, they're like, oh, Ben Askren, you know, fastest knockout ever. It's all on my side. I'm like, yeah, just take it on the chin.
Dude, one of the worst betting nights of my life. I think I lost like close to like $1,800 because of Yuri. Yuri was fighting Glover Teixeira, and I was back in New York, had a watch party at the crib. And bro, when I tell you, no exaggeration, I had 7 parlays going into the main event. It was Glover by finish, Glover by sub, Glover money lines, Yuri by knockout, right? I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, damn, bro, if any of these hit, these are like 4K hits, like each of them. Yeah. And there was some potential where like I could double and triple up. And I'm like, fight to go the distance was like plus 300, plus 350. I'm like, all right, I'm going to throw 500 on that as like a hedge. I'll win my money back, and then I'll also have like a $600-700 profit. My buddy turns to me, he goes, what about submission? I go, bro, Yuri ain't winning by submission.
He's not subbing Glover.
He's not subbing. Yeah. Bro, it's 40-1. He ain't doing that. Fight ends by submission. And I just drop down all the way. And I'm like, I'm watching the fight like this. And when I tell you I'm laying like that, my friends are leaving and my hands are just over my face. They're like, yo, we're out. Because mind you, we were in New York, so like Eastern time zone and shit, even though the fights, I think we're in Singapore. I was just like, later, guys.
Bro, Glover.
Defeated, bro. I was so defeated.
Yeah,
bro.
it's like when that happens, all right, everybody get the fuck out.
Yeah, like, guys, please read the room, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to throw up.
And Glover had him out on his feet.
Yeah.
And he decided to shoot in.
Yeah.
For no, like, all he had to do was just literally 3-4 more hooks, straight punches, and he's out of there.
Bro, so every time I see Yuri, I always think about that. I'm like, you know what, man? We like to take victory laps and pat ourselves on the back. We also need to mention one of the worst betting nights of my fucking adult life.
That's so
crazy. All right, let's talk about another fight that kind of got put together late, and it's the co-main. This is a spot that, as of late, has kind of gone to the OG. It's it's kind of gone to the guy that is been there, done that, has been in title contention. Like, shit, I couldn't have been more wrong about the Saint Denis fight, right? Saint Denis, when he fought Poirier, I've been calling Saint Denis future champ for like 2.5 years now. There was 3 guys. It's Saint Denis, Shavkat, and Topuria. So I'm 1 for 2 right now. So we got to see what happens with Shavkat. But Diego Lopez against Brian Ortega kind of fits that mold, Zayd, where Ortega's been there, done that. I think people forgot because he got hurt. And, you know, he came back. I thought he blew out his Achilles when he's jumping up and down against Yair in the ring when the fight is starting. And then he goes out there and he submits him. And now Lopez has, you know, even the fight that he lost, it was against Evloev.
Yeah.
Evloev.
Yeah.
Who's like this.
Mobstar's legit.
Yeah, he's legit.
He could be a champ. Yep.
Pretty sure he's undefeated. And like Lopez took the fight on like 4 days notice, and shit, I'm still blown away that he didn't break his arm in that submission that he had him. So even in a loss, short notice, he looks really good, and he's just stopped everyone since. But now he gets Ortega. And do we go with the OG in the UFC or do we go with the young buck? How you feeling?
I think we take the young buck here, and Yair was doing well. I mean, like his wrestling just is not there enough. You know, his ground game is not there, and Ortega was able to take advantage of that, pushing, getting takedowns on the fence later on. And I feel like Yair kind of gassed too. When you look at Diego Lopez, bro, his ground game is legit. I know Ortega's is, you know, the best of the best, but Lopez is right there with him. And on the feet, Ortega hasn't looked that great in most recent fights on the feet. I mean, he gets pieced up by, you know, most of the elite fighters in the division. And I think Lopez's hands are legit. I mean, we saw what he just did to Yusuf. He landed a beautiful uppercut, finished him in that fight. He's finished everybody, as you mentioned. I think this is a fight where even if Ortega gets Lopez down, he doesn't really find the submission. And I don't think he could get him down and keep him down. I mean, we saw with Evloev, who has great ground control, great takedowns, not really being able to do much. You know, Lopez is going to threaten on his back. And I don't think he takes him down the way he was able to take Yair down. I think it's a stand and bang fight, and I think Lopez looks really good here.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way too.
Yeah.
I'm going with the young buck.
Yeah, I mean, the OG said he was going to donate $100,000 to like a church and stuff. Another reason why Dana's, you know, came back from Saudi very happy. I'm going to follow with you guys on this. I've heard that both of their jiu-jitsu games is pretty like next level, so we're going to see some high level rolling. But you know, I can't take a person who is knocking people out in the first round or finishing at least in the first round. I'm going with the young one. Mike Tyson method. Do you think it's over in 1?
No, you know,
would that be nuts? Or is that in the
was
cards?
hell bent on coming into this episode when I first connected with Zane about coming in here and being like, yo, I'm a bet fight ends by submission plus 250. Then the more I think about it is how many times have we seen wrestler versus wrestler and then they stand and bang, right? And I feel like these two guys are so good on the ground where I think they might just stand up. And to your point, like Ortega, the most famous clip of him, one of the most famous clips are Holloway grabbing his hands and being like, yo, bro, this is how you got to block.
Yeah.
Right? Where he looked, the fight got stopped after round 4. So I'm looking at fight ends by TKO at plus 150. So you can play both sides. And then just hope that it doesn't hit the mat for as good as these guys are.
Man, honestly, I think if there's going to be a KO, it's going to be on the Lopez side. I just don't think Ortega is going to have the power to just knock him out, to me. I mean, what's Lopez KO? Do you have that pulled up?
Plus 250.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I honestly wouldn't mind that. I think he could get it done in the first or second round, if especially if they're throwing. I mean, Ortega has a chin, don't get me wrong, but he's had many bad surgeries, bad injuries that he's had to come through. I think their grappling kind of cancels each other out, and they do stand and bang, like you said. So overall, man, honestly, give me Lopez. I think he should be closer to minus 165, minus 170, and he's at like minus 140 right now. It's a pretty good bet.
Yeah, I think he's. So I like doing money line parlays, but not of big favorites. Like I won't have like Peyton Talbot, who's minus 2,000. I'll take a stab at either a knockout or a finish by him, but like I won't do that. But I do like taking short favorites like that, the minus 200s and like less. You know, you find 3 of those, you get plus 500, plus 600 around there. That's more enticing than taking 3 favorites to get minus 101.
Yeah, hell
Like
no.
that is where it gets really, really crazy. I wanted to bring up something that you mentioned before in passing about the Askren thing. Do you have a pet peeve when people ask you for your bets and then, you know, the betting game, bro, we're not going to always be right.
Yeah, yeah.
When it does go south and you're down a couple hundred, couple thousands, I don't know how much you bet, but I've seen screenshots. And then you have your buddy who hits you up and he's like, bro, I can't believe the pick you gave me. And then he's like, oh, I had $10 on it. And you're like, I don't want to pocket watch. I don't want to judge people's betting units, but read the room, bro.
Yeah.
How do you deal with people like that? Because to
So-
me, it makes me not want to talk to them.
So I want to take like this hand and then like this hand and then just straight strangle them.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. Like you don't understand. Look, like it's one thing if I text you and be like, hey, I think you should bet this, you know, it's a good bet. And I'm wrong. Okay, you want to text me, damn, you know, sick pick. All right, whatever, needle me a little bit. But if you're reaching out to me and asking me for picks, and I'm just gonna tell you what I'm betting, because like, hey, yeah, here, bet this, you know. And then you want to text me after, like, okay, bro, like you probably know I lost a lot of money on this pick. Why are you texting me, like needling me, and you probably only lost 50, 60 bucks, like whatever it is. Which, you know, it's like you said, it's not about the pocket watching or the unit sizing. It's just more of like, bro, you're asking me for the picks. If you don't want the pick, you don't have to bet the pick. You know, like I'm just telling you what I bet because you asked me. That's it. And that kind of bothers me a little bit too. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah, nah, for me, it drives me crazy. We've talked about this so many times on other shows where like it makes me not want to talk to friends that I've had for 10, 15 years. I'm like, bro, it's annoying, dude. Like,
Yeah.
shit, first of all, to your point, why are you asking me?
Yeah.
Right? I'm getting in now with the Euro Cup and Copa America. Like, bro, what do you think we should bet? They send me a parlay, 8 money line favorites. I'm like, it looks good. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
You know, it's minus 500 every
Yeah.
team. You want me to say it's not going to hit?
Yeah.
And then Brazil ties Costa Rica, and I'm the asshole.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
Just bet draws. I mean, if you just bet draws, this cup, you're gonna
Yeah.
make some sick money.
But
But yeah, no,
like-
it's funny.
it's just crazy to me, dude. And now what I just do is I just send them the link to the show.
Yeah, and just watch
Right?
it and
Just
take
watch,
the
there you
picks.
go, man. Like that's it. I'm not gonna. There's the
Yeah.
Patreon. There's the Discord. All the picks are on there. Don't ask me. But I did like what you say. If I reach out and I'm like, yo, George, you should bet on Germany this weekend minus a goal and a half.
Yeah.
Which you probably should bet on Germany minus a goal and a half. And then, you know, they lose or they win 1-0. I'm expecting the backlash.
Yeah, I mean, it
there.
depends
Yeah.
who it is. It depends who you're getting the backlash from. If it's
Yeah.
like a close friend, you know, guy you talk to on a daily basis, it's like, all right, whatever, you know, it's funny thing. But if it's like a guy you probably see like once every 3 months and he just randomly texts you, like people don't realize how many people text. Like, and I'm not just saying this like to be like, oh, like I'm full of myself or cocky, but bro, like on a Saturday, like I'll have 30 texts. Hey, what do you like? Hey, what are you on? Hey, what do you like? It gets annoying to a point where it's
Yeah.
like, that's why it's like, okay, I almost just want to post everything and just say, hey, you know, take this. But if it's going to lose, don't needle me at all because we're betting a lot of money on this, probably way more than you. So it's like, don't needle me, you know? That's
Yeah,
really it.
there's Rebet, the sponsor, the sports betting sponsor of the show, they have it so that you can get notified. Like I can follow you and any bet you make, I can set it up to get notifications and see what you played. That's got to be the future of it. Like I would imagine that all these big time sports betting sites will be hooked up to like Instagram stories or Twitter or something, and then you can easily
Yeah, it's
just
usually like Discords. But like for me too, like NBA Finals just finished, right? Okay. Every single game went under in the finals. I think almost every single game. I'm almost positive because I bet 5 overs in it. But the first game of the finals, I took the over and we beat the closing line, like no bullshit. It was like 214.5. I think it closed 218, 217.5, 218. And we had a lot of money on it. I told, you know, everyone was asking me, what do I like in the finals? I'm like, bro, game 1 over. I like this over. I think both teams are not going to be able to stop each other. And it flew under, obviously. And I'm like, bro, we beat the line by 3 points. Like people don't realize like, okay, if you're beating the closing line by a significant margin and you're constantly, you know, making good bets, if you lose, you lose. It is what it is. You made a good bet.
Right.
And the general public doesn't really realize that. They're just looking at a win or a loss. Like if you give them 2 -500 favorites that win and they make $20, they're happy about it. But did you make a good bet? No, you really didn't probably, you know? So, I mean, that's how I look at the betting game as well. Like if I'm making good bets, I'm beating the closing line consistently and it's moving in my favor, I'm okay with it.
Oh, bro. I mean, what's going on now with the Euro Cup? 20-1, I gave out Lukaku on Belgium to be the top scorer.
Yeah.
Bro, we should have been cashing that ticket after the first game. He
I know.
legitimately has missed 35 goals.
Bro,
I'm
the
talking
World Cup.
about.
How about the World Cup when he was?
Yeah.
But Belgium is my favorite team, like to always watch, especially when they had Hazard and you know, KDB, and they still have KDB. But when they had all those guys, it was an awesome team to watch. And it's sad that they didn't even win because they should have won a major
Right, the
title.
golden generation.
Yeah. And now it's just Lukaku, and they got Doku, who's just fast. He can't really do nothing but run, which is like it's good, but Lukaku can't finish for his life. It's like he's cursed now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's exactly the 3 goals have been overturned by VAR.
One offside, it was like literally like by like a pinky. Like the
yeah,
shoulder
like,
blade.
like a shoelace of a cleat. Like it was really ridiculous.
I'm like, bro, come on now.
So I'm watching that, to your point, right? And we'll
Yeah.
get back into the UFC after this. But to your point, when this guy has 3 goals overturned, 2 of them came in the same game, he tap-ins, like from me to Zayd, wide open net, he's sending it to the upper deck. It's like, bro, what do you want me to do there?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's the right read. And that's another thing some people don't understand in betting, to your point. Like, you beat the closing line by 4 points. You feel really fucking good about yourself.
Yeah.
When I take a guy to score a goal at plus 105 and 2 goals in a game get overturned, and then he misses like 4 or 5 sitters, it's like, bro, that's just one of those days. That's an amazing bet that I made. It just didn't cash. And sometimes in betting, that's what happens. Like you make the right read. And I felt I've gotten hot now in the Euro Cup, like the last couple games. Like I hit Georgia today because Portugal was locked into the 1 seed no matter what. Georgia had everything to play for. With a win, they advance. They end up winning plus 675. They won 2-0 comfortably too. So like I bet them first half. I bet them for the whole game. You know, I bet the correct score 2-0, 25-1. That was fucking wild. Today was a really good day.
Yeah.
But something we were talking about before we started recording, there's a lot of bets that I make that I don't have time to give them out.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that we do as bettors is chase. I was telling you the story about Dominic Reyes. I hit a 45-1 parlay on his fight night where I was down like $800. Every bet I made was completely wrong. I'm betting one guy by submission. He gets subbed. I'm betting this fighter by decision. They win a 30-25. It's like, holy shit, everything's good. So I'm like, I'm going to bet Reyes by knockout. He's looked awful the last 4 years. Goes out there and gets a knockout. Imavov gets a doctor stoppage, right? Well, terrible stoppage, I should say, with Cannonier. So it's like, I don't have, sometimes it's like the cardinal sin of chasing, but especially with MMA live betting, it's like, bro, you can't go. You're trying to get your bet in.
Exactly.
In the 90 seconds in between the
Not
rounds.
even, yeah.
Not even.
Yeah.
And fuck, if you're streaming it, you're behind. So the sports book is on top of that.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, sometimes like I'll post these screenshots and I'll get shit for it. But I'm like, yeah, bro. It's
Bro, I'm making it right before the fight. I'm
Yeah.
putting it in literally right before the fight. Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, George.
No,
And there's
I know.
nothing worse sorry to cut you off, but there's nothing worse than, you know, you mentioned like it's a good bet. Like when someone has that submission locked in and you got like round 3 sub for like plus 5,000.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God, he didn't finish a choke. Like there was a choke a couple weeks ago where it was like rear naked choke locked in and he didn't get the finish in the round. And I was like shocked. I'm like, yeah, somebody probably got screwed by that 100%. But there's so many times in the UFC where you have someone out on their feet and then Jose Aldo, I had him by knockout.
Yeah, against Martinez.
Yes.
That was the same day that Anthony Smith, 15-1 with the
Yeah, I
submission.
had Aldo KO like pretty big.
Yeah.
And it would have paid a lot of money. And bro, he has him
remember.
out on his feet and he just shoots a double leg. I think he shot a double leg takedown.
Yeah.
Bro, when has Aldo shot a takedown in the last 10 years?
Right.
It was insane. I couldn't believe it.
It was because we bet it. That's why.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder.
That's my line. That's my line.
Sometimes I'm
'Cause
like,
I
yo,
bet it.
there's no way, bro. There's no way Lukaku has missed all these chances. Like 20-1, I should have already cashed it. He should have had 19 goals in the 3 games. He has 0. And it's like, bro, it's because I bet it. That's the only reason why. So,
Yeah.
fuck, man. All right, let's wrap up with this. And I know we've kind of went all over the place a little bit. Controlled chaos is what I like to say. What's your favorite bet of the card?
Favorite bet. So I'm going to give you the current odds on this. And, you know, this was something I talked about with a couple of my friends. Carlos Hernandez, plus 365, 370, shop around. is fighting. I'm gonna butcher his name so bad, but the Japanese guy, Tiusara. Okay, this guy has fought nobody, absolutely nobody. Okay, he gets the road to the UFC. He comes in now, great wrestler, has a great body triangle from what I've seen, and Hernandez has good scrambling ability. And if he keeps us on the feet, we've seen this guy get pieced up on the feet many, many times. I think Hernandez, when you look at what he's done being able to scramble, I know he just got finished by Tara, who's obviously going to be a superstar, but I think Hernandez keeps us on the feet. He wins this by decision without a doubt in my mind. If he survives the first round. And I've seen what this guy is, he's gassing a lot. You know, in every single one of his fights, second or third round, he slowed down. Especially like he fought a guy from AKA on the road to the UFC. And bro, after the first round, it just wasn't the same for him. And I think this is a really, really wide line. To me, I would make this around plus 150, plus 160 range for Hernandez. You could get him at plus 360. It's huge.
The ball's on this kid.
I know.
I mean, I can't give out a favorite. I can't.
Yeah. I love it.
This
bro.
is something I like a lot. Like I think, look, there's a scenario where he gets just caught in a body triangle for 3 straight rounds, and I'm like, you know what, fuck, you know, it is what it is. But I have faith in his scrambling ability. You know, I've talked to people that know him and are with him, and they say, you know, he's in great shape, the best shape of his life. Hernandez is a guy, you know, I think that's really underrated, especially coming into the spot. It's a buy low spot, and this guy from the road to the UFC, his stock is sky high, and I think they're mistaken with this line.
I mean, bro, I couldn't agree with you more in the sense of when Anthony Smith fought Petrino.
Yeah.
Not only did I have him by submission, I also had him like, I think plus 400 money line.
Yeah.
And I just felt like that line was way too wide. Like Anthony Smith, for as much shit as he gets, he's been in there with some big names. And he's sort of what we were talking about before, George, how it's the guy that's been around, has fought the who's who against this new shiny Brazilian prospect, catches him in a guillotine, submits him. And I just love when people come on the show, and I call it 3 condom betting. When you give, like, if you were to come here and be like, oh, Peyton Talbot, I'd be like,
Yeah.
thanks bro. Thanks for the 55 minutes we've had you on. You gave us a lot of great insight.
Yeah.
But like, yo, I like,
Yeah,
especially in fighting, like lines are mispriced. If people aren't familiar with the strength of schedule, you're looking at this as something really enticing.
That's the biggest thing I think for the UFC too, is like, especially when these new guys that are coming up, like odds makers don't really know how to cap a guy, especially if they don't understand the regional scene as much, which 100%. I feel like they don't. Where these guys coming up on the regional scene, if they're fighting just straight tomato cans, like anybody could look good against these guys that they're fighting on the regional scene. And I think when you look at just the strength of schedule, and you could see it, where you had a guy like Jairzinho Rosenstrike. He fought the guy that won Contender Series, Gaizev, I think his name was, Shamil. And Rosenstrike was a dog. And I kept looking at the fight, and I'm like, bro, there's no way Rosenstrike should be a dog here. Like, Rosenstrike is a legit kickboxer, has great stand-up, and this guy's not going to be able to take him down. And Rosenstrike's takedown defense is not that bad. And Rosenstrike just walked right through him. Same thing with like a Joe Pfeiffer, who looked great. And then he gets his main event in the UFC Apex, fights a legit guy, and, you know, doesn't get him out of there in the first, second round, slows down, loses as a big favorite. So all these guys that are, you know, just getting into the UFC that are big favorites, it's good to do tape on it, see who they fought, see who they went against, see their tendencies, see how they match up with the UFC vet they're going to be fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always interesting to see all those like new fighters too coming from different organizations that really like have established another name, and now they're getting their UFC debut. That's where I see a lot of those lines opening up, and you can find great value. I don't think there's like, I've heard the best sports bettors in the world say that UFC is a really untapped market as far as a lot of value is here, and it's constant now. I mean, it's every Saturday that you can make money year round. So yeah.
My friends and I used to go to CFFC in Atlantic City because their headquarters was at the Borgata. Also, my buddy Jared Gordon, who just lost another heartbreaker.
Bullshit. Absolute bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, the story of his life, you look at his record, he should be 8-2 with 2 losses to Grant Dawson and Charles Oliveira if he gets the Patty win and then this one.
Yeah.
But shout out to Jared, man. He was fighting at CFFC, right? Mm-hmm. So then we'd see like Sean Brady over there make his debut, and he's minus 140. We're like, bro, what?
Yeah.
hammered his spot.
Yep.
Right? Aljamain Sterling came from there. Anthony Smith came from there. Chukagian came from there. Like, when you do go to the regional stuff and you have an idea, it could go a long way, man. Like, I remember last thing on, Benoit Saint Denis, to bring him back up, he fought one of the Bonfim brothers.
Yeah.
That guy, he got a crazy knockout against Terrence McKinney, who we were talking about before. And like, you look at it, you're like, bro, he hasn't really fought anyone that good. And I know Saint Denis was coming off like a loss where on short notice to Dos Santos, and you're looking at it, he's like, he shouldn't be plus 300. This is crazy. And then he goes out there and he submits him. So like, that's really important, man. And to your point, what you said about a lot of pro bettors have said that it's still very untapped. But with it being on ESPN now, and it's actually every week, I think they are getting a little sharper, but there's still a massive advantage you could have.
Especially, I mean, you said it best, like when you bet props, like, and a lot of times you don't take the money line because okay, a Sean Brady, he's probably not going to knock this guy out. He's going to get a submission. So like betting on those paths to victory, when you see it inside the UFC making his debut and it's a little bit wide, you're like, all right, I'm going to hit that. Or like, bro, there's guys that I talk to in camps, like they know a fighter is going to just decision this guy. He's going to dance around. He's going to win by decision, pick him apart at distance, not really try to knock him out and just play it safe. And, rightfully so, if you could win like that, why not? Especially if you're an up-and-comer in the UFC. But, like, there's so much value on those type of lines, especially when you could find those props on, like, a FanDuel or DraftKings where you hammer those all day. And, like, bro, even on DraftKings, like, there's, like, fighter to have a takedown, fighter to win by decision. And, like, you could, like, parlay. Like, you could do parlays like that, which is, like, it's crazy. Or, like, fighter to have 2+ takedowns in a fight. Like, Makhachev, for me, I lost a bet on, which was a prop. I took Makhachev under, I think it was 3.5 takedowns. I'm like, bro, if Islam gets him down twice, he's probably submitting him here. And Islam ended up having like 5 takedowns, which is like, whatever, it is what it is. But those are bets that I look to make as well. Like, if a guy could just get someone to the ground right away and finish, okay, take the under. Like, Prize Picks is a big example too, like under significant strikes.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that,
Yeah, no, totally, man. And now you can even bet like the judges' scorecard.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like -3.5.
Yeah.
For a big favorite. So hopefully he gets a 30-26 in there.
Right.
Zayd, this was dope, man. I had a great time. It was good to connect with you. I do want to ask you one thing before we go. Social media is super duper powerful. And some of the people that you run with and are cool with, you were telling us a story off air. I think it's a great story of how you got connected with like the Nelk Boys and Aiden Ross and all these big influencers. And it had to be because you're a piece of shit degenerate like I am. I say that in the nicest way possible. Like growing up, all my friends, George, would be like, yo, you're a piece of shit, bro. You like to bet. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I am. So that's why we have the running phrase of one of us.
Yeah.
Zayd is one
We're
of
not
us.
betting, we're winning.
We're winning, yeah.
We're winning.
Yo, tell the people the story about how you got connected with those guys. 'Cause
So
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, so Steve has been a good friend of mine, for over the last year and a half. Awesome guy. I do a lot of stuff with Yanni the Greek and Nick Kalakis. Shout out to them. UFC, they do UFC on the line on UFC Fight Pass. And I was invited to go to an Apex event with them. And, bro, it was like we went to the back room. It was an awesome night. I was winning a lot of bets. And Steve and his Uncle Tim were there. Shout out to Uncle Tim as well. And they were betting, and everyone was kind of like losing a little bit. And I was winning good that night. And I gave out a couple other picks, and it all hit. And they saw it, and bro, took my number down. And I just started sending picks, and we were just winning and winning and winning. And this was when the start of the NFL season of last year. I was 13-2 in the Circa contest. And I ended up losing outright by one game, which was crazy. But we were just winning every at bet, like NFL, NBA, and everything. And basically, Steve needed a pick. He was down some money, and he's like, what do you like tonight? And I'm like, bro, this was the Apex fight. I'm like, man, honestly, I like a bet, but I wouldn't put a lot of money on it. I'll just put a regular bet. And I gave him Ankalaev to win inside the distance. I gave him Farid Basharat, which is one of the Basharat brothers. He fought Taylor Lapilus. And he calls me like 2 hours later. He's like, all right, I got 200,000 on this. We're going to go to the Apex. And I'm like, holy shit, like 200,000? I'm like, bro. And we're going to the Apex, and I'm nervous as fuck, And
Can I ask how much you had on it? If you
I
don't
put
mind?
$5,000 on it.
$5,000. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I like the parlay a lot. I mean, my average bet is between like 2 and 3K.
Okay.
Bigger stuff, I'll go $5,000. But had $5,000 on it. He had 200,000 on it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, we're sitting like at other sections of the Apex. Like he's on like the right corner, and I'm on like the left corner of it, and we're watching the fight. And Basharat does exactly what I thought he was gonna do. Wins by decision. You know, just outclasses him on the feet. And then you go to Ankalaev. Johnny Walker. Every single Johnny Walker fight, he comes out strong. I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, except this last fight. But he came out, he's throwing these kicks. In the Apex, it's a small cage. So it's like you can't really evade some of these shots. And he was landing, you know, a little bit. And I'm like, all right. Then Ankalaev's just right there with him. You know, his hands are up. He's like moving and everything. And Ankalaev just starches him in the second round. And there's a video on my Instagram. You just see Steve from like one side of the Apex just run at me to the other side of the Apex. And it was the funniest shit ever. And like we cashed, he hit for like 200,000. I made for $5,000, and it was a sick night. Ever since then, we just been betting together and just doing a bunch of cool shit.
Man, that's such a dope fucking story, bro.
That is awesome.
We do streams, a lot like gambling streams and stuff.
Yeah.
For like Rubat, and at the Red Rock, we do a ton of streams with like Dana and all those guys.
That's
What's
so
dope.
fire, man. That's so fire.
Have they finished building out Dana's new Durango?
Oh yeah.
VIP?
Yeah.
Have you been in that one?
I went there
Which one's
once.
better?
The Durango, because it's newer.
Brand
but,
new.
Yeah, but like Red Rock, man, the people at Red Rock are just awesome. Like the hospitality they show to everybody over there, it's dope.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm looking forward to connecting again. I hope this isn't the last time we see you on the show.
for sure. Yeah, Had a blast.
Definitely was fun. Especially now that you understand what the show is about. It's very playful and laid back. But we look plus 365.
Oh, dude, no.
That got me
add
a
that to
little
the
bricked
card.
up a little bit. I was excited to hear that. I was gonna.
Will go the
I
distance,
I thought
add
Zayd
that.
was gonna come on and be like, yeah, you know, minus 200. I kind of like this, but plus
No,
365.
bro. Not when you're wearing like some beautiful shoes like that. The loafers
Good
are
feet.
on point.
Good feet.
Yeah, the good feet
Yeah.
indicated to me good bets.
Good bets.
Good feet, good bets.
Yeah, hell yeah. Zayd, let the people know where they can find you, man, before we go to break.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and all my social media at Zayd_Hussein, ZaydHussein, TikTok as well. And I have a podcast coming out soon with Bilal Muhammad. He's fighting July 27 for the UFC title in Manchester. So
He's
check
best
that out.
friends with Jared.
Yeah. So we sat down about 4 or 5 days ago. Great time. Just talked about the fights, and I'll have it posted pretty soon.
Hell yeah, man.
Awesome time.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
All
It was a
righty.
pleasure.
We're going to go to a break to Patreon, and then we'll be right back. All right, before we continue with the show, big ups to the members of the Patreon. We got Daniel Gibson, Mahul Patel, Abel Rezin, Ben Coetzee, Christopher Velasquez, Derek Platees, Dylan Chadwick, Jerry Shapiro, Jordan Riley, Mike Stevens, Mike Wozniak, Nick Crummich, and Thomas Robinson. And shout out to Steve, newest member of the Patreon, pledged for $5. And we also got Christian Wright, and that's Steve Jimenez, by the way, Big Will, and David Montenegro. Shout out to you guys for pledging to the Patreon. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this wherever you're listening to, we have a $1, $5, $10 tier. The $5 tier gets you access to all the betting picks on the Patreon and in the Discord. There is a Discord that you could join. The $10 tier is giveaways, monthly giveaways. $20 tier, there's a merch store. You could get merch on discount. George, we're adding some new merch, by the way, for NFL season. So I'm
A one
excited
of
for
us
that.
shirt, Nick?
Possibly. Shout outs, roll calls, the whole nine. And then if you're in the $40 tier, there's 4 of you. Honestly, you're just a crazy son of a bitch, and we love you so much. We might love you a little bit more than everyone else, but we do love everybody.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/veterans minimum to subscribe and help build the show. Okay. I have a couple questions for you. Not really going to go into deep dives of the Stanley Cup playoff. Congrats to the Florida Panthers, all 17 fans of you down there in Florida. A little salty because I had Rangers futures that kind of got fucked over because of the Panthers. But anyway,
Yeah.
using that outcome of Florida winning as the basis of this conversation, Connor McDavid wins MVP of the playoffs. I believe it's the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a problem with that?
I don't have a problem with it because of the stats that he put up. Like, I feel if any player is going to win that award, on a losing team, he better be setting some sort of record, right? I do think, though, if you are the player that's receiving the trophy and you lost, you can't take that trophy. Like, you can't pick that trophy up ever. It's your trophy. The entire world knows it's your trophy. But if you were to take that trophy after losing the thing that you cared about more, people don't go into season saying, well, maybe like Jordan back in the day was like, dude, I already know we're going to win the finals. This year's all about winning the finals MVP. I don't know if that's what Connor McDavid was thinking. Like, oh, we're already going to win the Stanley Cup. I'm just going to go win the Conn Smythe. I don't think that's the way that works. But as an athlete, you can't take that trophy. Do you feel the same way? Like, would you pick that trophy up?
I don't know, man.
Would you put it in your house?
So my thing, and this is going to sound super like selfish, I kind of would if I was like the man. And like I wasn't the reason that we lost, even though McDavid had like a tap in with like 5 or 6 minutes left that's been going around where it's like, bro, if that happens 1,000 times, I think 9,999 times he buries that, but he doesn't in that one instance, right? So I don't know, man. I think it's something that'll age better as we go. Like right now he feels shitty because obviously he wanted the cup, but I think because this is also like the whole playoffs. Yeah. But it doesn't result in a win, right? Yeah. So like I don't know, it's weird, man. I'm kind of cool with it. I think if you put on a crazy performance and your team loses, now I don't want you to get swept.
I don't think that's, I literally don't think that's possible.
Right. So I don't think if they went down 3-0 and it ended in 4 or 5 games, that happens. It gets pushed to 7. I'm cool with it, right? LeBron James should have been the NBA Finals MVP in 2015. He averaged like 30. I think it was almost a triple-double. Yeah. Iguodala won it because he shut him down. And you look at the numbers, you're like, bro, what did he shut down? Deladova was on his team. He had to get rushed to an IV. Yeah. Dude never played more than like 20 minutes. That's what LeBron had to deal with. And he pushed him to, I believe it was 6 games. So, like, I'm cool with it, man. If I'm a, you know, I know Isaiah was giving me shit for this, but when Tom Brady lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles, Tom Brady in that Super Bowl went crazy.
Yeah. Was it close to 500-something yards?
505 yards passing, passer rating of 115.4, and 3 touchdowns. Now, look, on the flip side, Foles had scored the Philly special. He did all that. Yeah. It's like, yo, that's a historic performance. He was the best player in that game.
It was also storyline, though, with Nick Foles, too, leading into it, that plays into it. The narrative of Connor McDavid being the icon of the league, you know? And in a sense, this is good on NHL's entertainment team by saying, hey, we need, as hockey, to stop looking up to a guy in Wayne Gretzky that played 15, 20 years ago. Like, we need a new superstar. Ovechkin came in. Thank God he finally got a title. I mean, it sucks. It was against the Golden Knights. But whatever. Like, you need your superstars to be decorated in some regard. So, good on the entertainment side of them for giving it to them. I just know that we watched Showtime on HBO about the Lakers, and Jerry West was one of those people in the NBA that lost the NBA Finals. He gets the Finals MVP, and then the Lakers were cursed. The Celtics went on to kick their ass for like an entire decade. So, could we see the same thing with the Oilers, where they just keep going back and just not finishing the job?
So, I don't know about that. I will say, to piggyback off that point, I know I just dumped on the Eagles quarterback for winning the MVP. You know, I felt like Jalen Hurts should have won the Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 57. He outplayed Mahomes. He had the one fumble that led to a touchdown, but he had 304 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 3 on the ground, had 70 yards, accounted for 20 points, which is the most ever in the Super Bowl. Tied the record, for the most points scored. So he scored 3 touchdowns. That gets you to 18. And then he hit the octopus. Yeah. Which is conversion. Like, you could bet those sometimes. It was like 15 to 1. So the guy has to score a touchdown and then get the 2-point conversion. So like, bro, I felt like he was the best player in that game. And that's how I kind of view it. Like, are you the best player in that game? If say you're a baseball player, your team loses in 7, but you bat 800.
Yeah. 6 home runs.
Yeah, 6 home runs, 27 RBIs. You're batting 800. Your on base is whatever the highest number could be.
Right.
But then your closer blows the 9th inning and you lose. Like, and there needs to be someone on the other team that isn't anywhere near that, right? Like if someone else has 5 home runs with 17 RBIs, it's like, all right, man, I get it. But if someone has such a dominant performance, I'm not opposed to giving it to someone on the losing team.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. When I say the player shouldn't take it, I literally mean like they should never physically touch that trophy. But, you know, if ever asked the question, yes, I did win it. Don't like deny it and play psychotic. But yeah, it plagues people. Because at the end of the day, they're team sports. You're playing it to win the team championship, not the individual championship. We've seen that in basketball sometimes. James Harden, Russell Westbrook on their own side missions to go get their own hardware, you know. But I don't think it ends up working out for a majority of those people anyways, and the long run of their career and the way that we perceive them.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, you've seen it happen a lot in soccer. Like Luka Modric in 2018 won the best player of the FIFA World Cup despite them getting slapped in the final and they lost. But it's like he was the best player of that tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened many times where guys win best player of the tournament. Messi won it in 2014. They lost in the final. So like it does happen. I think it was Diego Forlan with Uruguay in 2010. He won it and they got knocked out in the semis. He didn't even get to the final.
God damn.
So if you had such a stellar performance and your team let you down and you guys lost not because of you, I'm cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it some participation trophy shit I'm on, or do you think there's some validity to this?
No, I'm with you because what we're explaining is like they have to dominate the game.
Yeah,
if they dominate the game, yeah, bro. Like reward me with whatever you want to reward me with. But at the end of the day, we're not just. This isn't tennis. This isn't golf. Like you're going after a team trophy over an individual trophy.
Like, bro, I'm a Mets fan. I saw Jacob deGrom win a Cy Young, and I think he went 12-13 or 13-12 because he had an ERA of like 0.6, and he would just lose 2-1 games, or he'd go 7 innings, 15 strikeouts, and get no runs. It's like, is it his fault? No, it's not his fault that the team can't score whenever he was out there.
It's true,
but to me, if someone is that dominant. Like that's what it was. In 2018, he had a 1.70 ERA. He went 10-9. Like, God damn. Bro.
That's crazy.
It's not.
God, the Mets suck.
Yeah.
God, they suck.
I will say, being a Mets fan, you know what that proves? Loyalty.
Yeah.
It means you could deal with heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
It means you could deal with being let down constantly. There are no having expectations and being let down. Also, under promise, over deliver is what I said early in the show. Not the case with the Mets.
No.
So when girls ask me like, "Are you loyal?" I'm like, "Of course, one of the most loyal guys on the planet." How so? I'm a Mets fan.
Whoa.
I'm a Knicks fan until like 18 months ago.
Marry that guy. That's
it was not a good time to be a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
You know, the Giants have been a mess for a decade now. So loyalty is probably my best quality.
I'm gonna be happy for you when the Giants like do something really positive.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
Set the franchise. I do. I think I do.
You deserve it. But it's gonna be when you put no futures on them.
Oh yeah.
Or do you do that every year as a
No.
Okay.
Bro, I'm pretty. I think I'm very rational with my teams.
Got you. But like, I guess it's just like, okay, I know $20 no matter what. I'm just going to put it on them to win the Super Bowl. If it happens, hey, you know?
No. So like right now, the Giants, I think only the Panthers have worse odds than them to win the Super Bowl. If they come out of nowhere and they're 8-2, I'll probably bet them then. And yeah, did I miss 150 to 1 or 2? Sure.
Right.
But I don't want to also hold that ticket and then they're 1-9.
Sure.
So it's kind of that I'm dealing with and juggling with. So to put a bow on this conversation, I think that someone could win an MVP of a final or a playoff despite losing. Last thing I want to ask you, I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball.
I'm ready for it.
There was one topic we'll save for another time, but did you see what happened with the NFL owners discussing the quarterback salary?
Yeah, dude. What do they call the commission or whenever
like the owners meetings?
Yeah, the owners meetings, but like there's like a hidden, the owners separating into their own skiff saying separately, hey, we're paying quarterbacks entirely too much money, guys. Like because it's now approaching, Nick, the point where they're going to start Daniel Jones, I think, is one of the prime examples that they use where it's like, bro, we were forced to pay this because we just want somebody who's comparable to play the position. But do they really deserve those hundreds of millions of dollars contracts? No. So they in hiding are going to discuss how they're going to do this. Isn't it crazy?
It is. Can I read you? I'm going to read you the top 10 annual valued contracts in the NFL.
Okay.
And I want you to just give me your first instinct, your first thought. It could be very, very like rapid fire, right?
Right. Like how much that they're making.
Just give me like a yay or nay kind of. Like I'm cool with paying this amount of money.
Okay. I got you.
All
I
right?
got you.
All right. Do you know who number one is? Well, they're tied for number one right now.
Number one, is it Mahomes? Not Mahomes.
No. Mahomes is the total contract value. He's the highest.
Right.
The highest paid per year.
Fuck, is it Kirk Cousins now?
Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Okay. Third, your boy, Jared Goff, $53 million.
Yes.
Justin Herbert, 52.5.
Yes.
Lamar Jackson, 52.
Yes.
Jalen Hurts, 51.
Yes.
Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson, 46 million.
No.
And no.
And no. Yeah. That was a double no.
Mahomes, 45 million.
Of course.
Yeah. Steal.
Just goddamn, the Chiefs are good at this.
When I
shit.
talk about some athletes are underpaid, this is a prime example of some athletes are underpaid. And then tied for 9th with Mahomes, Kirk Cousins. Now, if you're Mahomes, are you
Time to restructure?
Are you
baby.
not going to the ownership and being like, yo, bro, I know team friendly, but I can't have my boys that I grew up with when we're slugging beers be like, dude, shut up. You ain't the same money as Kirk Cousins.
Oh my God.
You can't have that, bro.
No.
They're gonna be like, shut your ass up, man. You and Kirk are the same. No, we're not. You guys get paid the same. 10-8.
Bro, yeah. How long in that conversation with the owners until the owners bring up Tom Brady? That's like the real question. No, well, you see, Pat, what we got you going on here is the Brady method. We're going to underpay you. You're going to be a superstar.
So this all, I don't know if it was fallout from Trevor Lawrence getting paid, because I still think Trevor Lawrence I think he's a top 10 quarterback.
Agreed.
I think he's definitely a top 10 quarterback. I think last year it was a lot of expectations. Guys were in and out the lineup. They were 8-3, bro. And then I jinxed them.
Yeah.
I was like, how come no one's talking about them? And they lost by 4 touchdowns at home to the Niners. I made them the thumbnail. Did really well that episode.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They went like 1-7 to end out the year. So he gets his contract, right? And I think to your point, what's really interesting is look at the owners of the teams who are in a dilemma of having to pay their quarterbacks. It's the Niners. It's Miami. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. I feel like, especially Jerry Jones, after he sees this contract, he's like, hey, man, we need to put a cap on this shit because I don't want to pay Dak that much.
Yeah.
and what I've been talking about for a year and a half now about Dak and Tua. These guys are going to get paid because, to your point, how we started this conversation, what do you do? What do you do if you don't pay them? They're good enough to win your division. You get to host a playoff game at home.
Yeah.
Then after that, you see what your ceiling is. But do you not pay them and you throw out like Cooper Rush and like Zach Wilsons of the world? No, because then your fan base is going to be pissed off too. So I don't know what the solution is or is going to be. An idea that I had was what I always thought they should do with running backs. Maybe they do this with quarterbacks, where have a cap for the running back that is not against your cap.
Right.
So like Christian McCaffrey, you want a new deal? Shit, man, you know what? You're worth $20 million a year, what you bring to the table. However, our salary cap, we can't give you $20 million. So I have the running back not account for that. Sort of like a signing bonus under the table that whatever the salary cap is, let's just say it's $300 million. The $20 million that he's getting is not going to account for the cap. What if they did that? Well, what they're presenting is a quarterback salary cap.
Right. Yeah, I think the reason why they are doing this is more so just going back to what we believe in. Pay the players, bro. The money is there. And I think that their fear of having to pay quarterbacks crazy amounts of money is honestly irrational based on the amount of money that player is generating for the greater cause in the organization. Bro, if you're not fucking strapping on a helmet, pause. I almost fucking jumped there. If you're not strapping on a helmet and you're not playing every Sunday, you should not be getting paid way more than 95% of your roster. That's just my opinion. And I know how much money football generates and the fact that they're concerned at where this is going in the future. It boggles my mind. But then it goes to show, bro, like the players have zero control because the NFL does what the NFL wants to do. And even if the NFL Players Union was to say something like, you guys can't do this, I mean, it puts the union in a shitty situation because then they're protecting one position group over the others.
That's what's going to happen if they do this. Wide receivers are going to be like, yo, bro, I'm the one that's making the quarterback shine.
Right.
Offensive linemen are going to say, yo, why can't I get paid? I'm just as valuable.
Mm-hmm.
The defensive lineman, like that's what
it's a slippery slope.
It's just going to open up a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
But I will say that the one that I'm the most behind on them doing this for would probably be running backs because they've been getting slandered for like a decade now.
Yeah.
Like even Najee Harris,
they get
Pittsburgh is like, bro, they treat you like the redhead on the thumbnail. And you know what thumbnail I'm talking about.
Yep.
They're just like, yo, listen, we're going to run you into the ground, and then when you're 26, 27, someone else got to go pay for you. That's what happens. It happened with Le'Veon Bell. It's happened with Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley got paid. Well, Todd Gurley got paid, and then shit fell apart. But that's what they do, man. David Johnson, like he's out the league, bro. David Johnson was running back one.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like out. So that's what I think happens with the running back position. And it's going to be interesting to see if anything changes now with the quarterback stepping up. But look, man, it is the most valuable position probably in professional sports because you see how bad it gets when your quarterback does go down. And then that's the other thing too. It's such a valuable asset that if I am paying this guy $55 million and he goes down, I'm fucked, bro. Because not only is he worth that money, that's why I gave it to him, but also he's not there now. My backup is nowhere near his worth.
Yeah.
And you just get hamstrung as an organization.
We saw a taste of it with Lamar Jackson last year.
When Hundley, right?
Well, just in the fact that Lamar Jackson was available, bro. For a while there in the offseason last year, I was like, damn, can Lamar Jackson come on over to the Saints? And
he was floated around in a couple of
Right.
Yeah.
But that was the thing, right? And I think this, from what I've heard, this is probably what's going to happen to Dak. They're going to let Dak's contract go onto the market. Dak's going to realize fuck, teams aren't willing to pay me and make me the highest paid quarterback of all time. He's going to come back to the Cowboys at whatever price is comfortable for the Cowboys. And that's what the owners meeting is going to be. They might not say like, okay, this is what the salary cap is, but they're going to be like, hey, help me out here. Dak's going to be on the market. Nobody offer him shit.
Yeah.
And then we control what their worth is. And because how is Lamar Jackson not the highest paid quarterback in the league for how much he does for an organization? Like that's pretty crazy. And he was available.
And then the last thing that I'll say on this, what happens is when you have an owner like the dude that owns the Browns come out and give Deshaun Watson all that money and it's guaranteed, it's just a trickle-down effect like we've been talking. Every other owner's like, this fucking SOB.
Yeah.
Like the thing we said about Mahomes before, it's kind of true. It's like, hey, man, I know team-friendly deal, but can I get that $500 million fully guaranteed at least?
Right.
I think I'm worth it. I'm giving you 3 Super Bowls. The value of your franchise goes up.
Oh, my God.
I'm in every commercial. Do you think Taylor Swift is with Travis Kelce if it's not for me also? Because we're in the limelight. We're the it team. We're the new Patriots. My image is good. There's no crazy videos outside of me shirtless at the parade slugging beer some fans, which is like a cool, heartfelt moment.
You better be doing that.
There's no, my father's had some issues with the DUI stuff.
Okay.
My brother is a little crazy sometimes, but like, it ain't my fault.
Yeah.
That's what happens. That owner gives them that contract, and then you're like, oh, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now Brock Purdy's due for a contract next year. He's going to get $60 million. And then watch everyone just fucking lose their mind.
I envision.
Not watch. It's going to happen.
But I envision them not getting that money. It's going to be an imaginary salary cap.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, just don't offer them that.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to monitor and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's wrap up this episode. Show love to Zayd, Hussein. All the links of his contacts are going to be in this episode. Shouts to him to coming on the show. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. YouTube Shorts.
Crushing lately?
Bro, like 3,000 new subs in the last 28 days. Shout out to Veterans Minimum. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all of you. Keep sharing the content. Keep liking, subscribing, all that. Thank you all for listening. At Nick Day is 10 News, you can find me. George, where can they find you?
At Mr. George Carmona. That's that. Peace. Peace.
In his element, I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.